Hey guys, PortraitRose here. So I've been wanting to do a short series on how to set up and get commissions for a while now, and people, especially in my personal life, have asked me how to do so. So this will be part one of my three-part series on how to set up and get commissions. So this video will go over the types of commissions that you might want to consider offering when you first set up your commissions, as well as a couple of things to consider later down the line. I will also go over the types of shading, or I call them subgroups in this for whatever reason, or subtypes, because those will be important for part two of this series. And before we get into it, I would also like to let you know that this series will mostly cover art done for personal enjoyment rather than commercial work, which is like a completely different ballpark, and will basically focus on pricing pieces piece by piece rather than by an hourly rate. However, there will be some tips in the next video that may help you if you're trying to decide on your hourly rate. There are four basic types of commissions that you will see most commonly. The first is the headshot/avatar, which is a commission that goes from the head of the character down to the neck of the character and sometimes includes the shoulders. These can be usually used as an avatar pretty easily, so I like to offer an alternate size of 100 x 100 pixels because some sites don't allow large files to be used for profile pictures. I also keep in mind that some platforms have circular avatars rather than square ones, like Twitter and Discord, so it's best if the avatars worked with those platforms as well. I typically offer a circular version for people who want it, which I crop from the original image so I can ensure everything I would like to be visible and the avatar is seen. And the second option is the half-body/thigh-high, and that goes from the head down to the waist and sometimes the thighs. These can either be different prices or the same depending on how you would like to price them. I mostly put them into the same box since for me the difference is minimal in how much you get for the price. And for the third option is the full body. This is the most complex option offered and should be the most expensive as well, but that's conversation for the next video. These commissions allow for a more diverse range of options in regards to what can be done in the commission and tend to be more popular for that reason. And then the fourth option is the Chibi, which is optional and not always offered, but is very common. Similar positives to the full body, but for a slightly smaller price, mostly because rather than being a full body that is fully detailed, these tend to be a little bit more simplified and a lot less time consuming to do as opposed to a full body, which tends to be a little bit more difficult. And each of these types also have subtypes, and these subtypes are the sketch, which is a simple black and white sketch, nothing more, usually not terribly refined. And then the second is a colored sketch, which are like normal sketches but with flat colors, and then there's the lined pieces, which are lines of a piece, and that's it. Basically just a refined sketch without any colors. And then the flat colored, which is a lined image with flat colors to give the characters more dimensions. Sometimes includes minimal shading, but that's up to the artist. And then the fifth option is cell shading, which is where things start to get interesting. Cell shading is the most simple form of shading a piece can have and usually doesn't have many, if any, highlights. And then the sixth option is soft shading, which is a step between cell shaded and painted, which takes more time than cell shading. Tends to have more highlights, and my pieces technically sit here now, although my earlier pieces were much more cell-shaded, which were much more on the cell-shaded side of things. And then the seventh option is the painted option, which is the most complicated form of shading and is typically landless. This takes much more time, and as a result is the most expensive option typically offered. Not as many artists can do this style. It's more of a style than a shading type, honestly, which makes it much more pricey if you can pull it off well. This list is also in order of least expensive to most expensive. I recommend if you are new to commissions only choosing at most 3 to 4 types of the subtypes to offer within the main 4 commission types. And first of all, you'll want to keep things nice and simple to start out. Offer only 4 main commissions until you can figure out what you like doing and what sets you apart from other artists looking to get commissioned. You don't need to do this right away, but thinking about what you like doing as you go along will be helpful in differentiating yourself from everyone else. For example, do you like pixel art? Offer some of those commission options. Or do you enjoy animating? Offer some simple animated GIFs, and possibly even longer ones as you move along. And don't forget that you most likely won't get your first commission right away. It's all about being patient and marketing yourself to the right people at the right times. Odds are it will take weeks, even months, possibly longer to get your first commission, and they won't be particularly regular in most cases after that either. I'd say it takes probably around 2.5 years to 3 years to get regular commissioners based on a variety of factors, including how often your commissions are open. Now you know the basic commission types you should offer, but where should you sell them? DeviantArt. It is probably the hardest to get commissions on DeviantArt. This is a good platform though if you aren't sure what types of commissions you would like to draw, like anime, furry, etc., because you'll find a relatively good mixture of people on DeviantArt. Just keep in mind that if you want to post NSFW art on DeviantArt, it will have to be heavily censored, although anything explicit should be kept on other websites for the most part just in case. And then there's for Affinity, which is one of the best places to post specialized fetish pieces as well as NSFW art. It's also a great place to get commissions if you're alright with drawing furry or fetish art. The furry fandom is a fandom based on art, so that alone makes it much easier to get commissions from people within the fandom if you are alright with the furries. Twitter. You can post some fetish pieces on here, just make sure to mark your profile as 18 plus so you don't get reported. Not bad for commissions, but also easy to get wiped under the rug because of the general immediacy of Twitter versus other platforms. Reddit. Much slower burn on this one. You can expect to see a return on any ads placed for at least a week after they are posted, since Reddit moves very slowly in comparison to other social media platforms. This is also good for revenue as long as you place your ad in a subreddit focused on commissions such as r/commissions or r/furry catwalk, since most people who are browsing these subreddits are already looking for commissions. Instagram. I don't use Instagram for commissions personally, but due to the visual nature of the site, it should be pretty easy to get commissions on Instagram. Just keep in mind that it is harder to post directly from your computer if you do digital art and don't have an iPad. And so, my rankings for the top sites to use for commissions are 1. for Affinity, 2. Reddit, 3. DeviantArt, 4. Instagram, and 5. Twitter. And those are the basics of how to get commissioned online. Of course, you will also have to determine your prices as well as market your commissions, but those are 2 topics that will be covered in their own separate videos. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you learned some useful tips on how to decide what kind of commissions to offer, as well as what sites are the best sites for selling your commissions. Next video, we will talk about how to price your commissions and what should be in your terms of service. Please give me a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and don't forget to check out my links below if you liked any of the art seen in the video. PortraitRose, out.